my better. Let's see my better. Yeah.
Yo, you're under the table.
You didn't do that growing up?
No.
Really? You haven't watched? You
Well, I
haven't
did
seen
it
like in
so
the
bad, it
movies?
just fell.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No,
But all right, we're back, guys. We have Alyssa for part two.
Part two.
For part two, your episode 1 did really well.
Thank
No
you.
controversy, no nothing. People just liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we had to bring you back again.
I didn't get canceled.
No, you did not. No one's gotten canceled. The one person who should have got canceled hasn't gotten canceled.
Good.
And maybe I should be canceled. I don't know. But we appreciate you pulling up.
Thanks.
You feel me? So how have you
course.
been since last time we spoke?
I've been good. I've been really busy. I've been
Yeah.
I've been in my bag. I've been really trying to lock in work, content creation, and just building my brand. You know, you got to really invest into yourself. So
Yeah.
I've like kind of redirected my purpose in life right now.
Yeah.
And I'm serving myself and my happiness.
Right. And so I guess a lot of that has to do with just the things that you have going on. You've been tuning in, focusing more on that.
Exactly. I'm like kind of reading into like my social media and things that the people like and trying to cater to it. Because you got to give the people what the people want.
That's true. Yeah.
That's how analytics work.
Yeah. I feel like last time we potted, that helped me even want to take this more serious too, because I didn't have this. They can't see that, but yeah, I didn't have some of this equipment.
He has a light, y'all.
Yeah.
And it looks expensive.
No, but it's not though. It was like $20.
Oh.
Facebook Marketplace, you know, that's how you get everything. Yeah. But I'm glad you came back though. You feel me? I feel like this is gonna be another great conversation.
Right. I gotta support.
And I might be leaving soon, so you know,
Oh my
might not have a chance to
goodness.
do this too many times.
Right.
But hopefully one day when you're big and famous, so people can travel and see you. So
Yeah, we'll see.
But take us through a little bit more. I know we came up with some topics and stuff like that.
Yes.
We can start with content if that's comfortable for you. Or
Yeah.
do you want to go somewhere
I
else?
love talking about content.
Right.
Content is a touchy but a really controversial and trendy topic right now. Everybody wants to be a content creator.
Everyone is a content creator.
And the market is oversaturated. How do we get rid of these low quality creators?
Don't say that. I feel like a low quality creator. But
Ow! Look at the setup.
The setup looks nice. You feel
This
me?
looks legit.
It does. It looks really nice.
What?
But like the thing, everyone's a content creator today, but not everyone's a content creator. And I know that sounds stupid to say out loud, but in the sense of how invested are you in it, right? Okay. So I think me and you have had some of those conversations. Like if you're doing it every day, that's kind of what makes you a content creator.
Facts.
And
the consistency.
The consistency is number one. And then trying to increase the quality of it. And so I'm even proud, like in podcasts, I tell my buddies, you're not a podcaster until you have 100 episodes. Because anyone can do 2, 5, 10, 15, 30 episodes and then quit. You weren't really a podcaster. You were just trying it.
Yeah.
Then once you get to 100,
it was
exactly. And so even like the equipment, investing in that, I'm like, that's what makes you the content creator. And so like if you watch my progression, you're gonna see the equipment gets better, the sound gets better, the visual.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
No, I'm with you there. And I kind of feel some guilt in a way sometimes because comparison can be a thief of joy. I'll go to content events, influencer events, and all these people have all this fancy equipment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, I only brought my little camera and my light.
Yeah. My
Maybe I
iPhone.
forgot the tripod, or I brought the tripod. Whoa.
No, for
but
real.
it's listen. If you can have all the fanciest stuff, you can have the nicest camera. You could have mics. You can have everything.
Yeah.
But if you aren't creating the clip, the right things, the right voiceover, the right aesthetically pleasing everything, you're not doing the thing. So I want to know. Even though you're the one supposed to be interviewing me, I'm gonna interview you.
Okay.
What is your definition of a content creator?
That's a great question.
Because now it's oversaturated. So now it makes me think we need to redefine and slim. What makes a content creator successful?
Right. And that's probably even the better question. What makes you successful at it? I would say just what makes you a content creator. Like I said, in the general sense, it's very low barrier to entry. So all you need is an iPhone, right? And there's people who make hundreds of thousands just with an iPhone.
Yeah.
Right. So then from there it becomes, are you consistent?
Yep.
Right. Then it becomes, do you reinvest? I notice in the content space, you have to put your money where your mouth is. Like if you don't spend the money to get, you know, the ad, or spend the money to go to the event like you went to today and take those clips, or spend the money to bring a team on board, you're not a content creator. You're just someone who's cool with doing it where you're at.
Yeah.
And a good content creator is always going to get better.
Yeah.
What makes you successful? I wouldn't define myself as successful quite yet in the space, but from what I see, it's the same things that make you one. So consistency, of course, but it would be finding your niche and exploiting it. So finding your opportunity. Me and you work in banking, right? You know, they talk about the markets. Find where people may be wrong.
Amen.
And then figure out how to make a right out of that.
Yes.
And so I think it's the same thing in content, knowing your brand, knowing who you are as a person,
exactly.
and not trying to make Kai Cenat content if
Yeah.
you're not Kai Cenat, right?
Yep.
Make your content for Alyssa or for Kevin.
Yep.
And understanding this is my brand, this is how I'm going to do it, and this is what works.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes it. How about you?
That
what
was
is your
such
take?
a good answer. To be honest, like, just to piggyback off of you, my definition of a content creator is one that can influence, make you feel some sort of FOMO, some sort of I need to buy that, some sort of desire to buy or have a product or service or business, any of the sort.
Yeah.
That's what makes a content creator. You're selling something. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You're essentially...
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Like, think of a car person. You're doing it in a media version, a social media way.
Yeah.
And you have to cater to the audience. You're right. Every audience is different.
Yes.
Maybe your audience is 60s plus. And you don't need all that editing. It's just a simple video of you sitting down and literally eating. Like, I don't know.
And it'll get hundreds of millions of...
Exactly.
You know?
It's different. Like, for me, it's kind of trend based.
Yeah.
I've noticed fashion based. When I put the phone down, when I change outfits or do transitions or do something like kind of on beat to a song, that's a good hit. Or anything with like attractive women, like anything like trendy, something like that. That's good clickbait. But I feel like ever since I looked into this, my brain chemistry has altered, okay? I have stopped scrolling and looking for trends to like remake. And look within yourself and be like, I want to be the one that other people copy.
Exactly.
That's where the money's at.
Yeah.
You have to do that within your niche. Like everything you said within the niche was right on point. You have to find out who is your audience.
Yeah.
Because when you start, you're kind of just like throwing it out there. Like it's just all trial
stuff.
and error. Yeah, it's all trial and error. That's what life is. But being a successful content creator is like looking at the results. You have to actually analyze. Well, I'm speaking more to men. I'm speaking more to women. Well, I want to be in this space. I need to like pitch myself to brands, maybe get more clothing stuff, bathing suit stuff, or you know, things of that tech brand, whatever. You got to cater.
And I like how you put it that way. So I would want to then follow up with a question on what are some things you've learned along the years, I guess, that you've been doing it. Because it sounds like from my experience knowing you were just casually making content here and there. Right. And then I know you started taking it more serious.
Recently.
Right. Very recently. So what contributed to that? What is something you've learned along the way? And what are some things you feel like you need to improve on?
Right. So recently, going viral.
Yeah.
That is the honest answer. That is what has made me take it more serious. I have seen more money in my bank account from the views. Okay. Hello, you do get paid. Like it's nice and it opens doors. So I realized I needed to capitalize on the area I was living in. I was so afraid of saying Charlotte this, Charlotte that, because I felt like I had so many like creeps on my page.
Sure.
Not to even be the one to say that, but it's true. No one really wants to disclose their location. I personally don't. I went viral years ago during COVID, and I was just like telling myself I want to keep my location private. Because you know there's just a lot of creeps. But then I started realizing I capitalize on it. So you know, I just started doing like local content, and it has opened doors. Like the thing I was the most afraid of was holding me back. So I realized I needed to open my perspective. Like, sometimes you're the one stopping yourself. So
that's a good way to put it. I'm the same way with podcasts. I used to be so shy to tell people I do it because everyone has their idea of a podcast and they think you're like one of the guys that comes on and says gay son or thought daughter, like, and I'm like, bro, I'm not
some
that
of them
type
are
of
out
podcast.
of pocket.
Yeah, some of the podcasts are crazy.
They are.
Right. And so I was really shy to even claim it as a piece of my identity. It used to be my friends who'd be like, yo, bro, Kevin has a podcast. I'd be like, shut up, bro. Like, I don't really talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like
but
shy.
yeah, I used to be shy about it. And I'm not even a shy person.
Nah.
But that piece I was.
That's how I feel though. Yeah. I downplay my content. I'm like, they're like, oh my God, she's such a big content creator.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you even know what a content creator is? Like, I barely would call myself that.
Yeah.
You hold yourself back. Don't discredit yourself. That goes for the both of us.
Yeah. And it comes from the identity piece because we'll talk about identity even more in the space. And I think it's because content requires you to be vulnerable.
Yes.
It requires you to share a piece of yourself that you do not share.
No, that's and that's the part I'm struggling with right now. I guess I have had or have an insecurity with like talking. Yeah. I find it really difficult, y'all, to do a voiceover or to talk over my videos. I personally cringe. It's like a me thing. And that's what I'm saying. You hold yourself back. Like you're like recording, you're like, I feel awkward. You're recording, you're like, I feel awkward. But it doesn't matter. Like no one's looking, no one cares. Go get the bag.
Yes.
And why are you so afraid of other people's opinions?
Yeah.
Boo-hoo.
It goes back to you think people are judging you.
Yeah.
But I think I've learned in life no one's actually cool.
No.
You know, when everyone has to sit down and take a shit, we all look crazy. So it's like once you get that through your head, then it's like, okay, I can be myself and who cares what people have to say about me? And for me, I podcast. So imagine my conversations are an hour long. So people will watch it and they feel like they've actually gotten to know a good piece of me.
Exactly.
So,
that's what makes a podcast successful. Right. And a good content creator.
Yes. And so I've been working on that, trying to give more story. Cause at first I never used to share things about my personal life podcasting. I would just focus on the topics at hand. But now I'm doing a better job of like telling people about myself. But you didn't answer the other piece to my question before we move on to the next piece. What is something you want to capitalize on more or work on? What is something you feel like you work on?
Okay, something I want to capitalize more on is long form content. I want to create series and actually organize. Something I struggle with is I have to actually almost write down my topics to organize my thoughts, because if I just press record, I'm talking about 10 different things.
You're all
like
over the place.
I have so many drafts of things where I'm talking about so many random things. I'm like, this makes no sense. Like I can't post this. So I'm working on long form content, maybe talking about previous like experiences, or just I just want to capitalize into a niche to where my audience gets to know me a little bit more, making it a little bit more intimate, like I would say, like a little bit more personalized, because you want your audience to feel a bit more connected to you and to like tune in. So I was thinking of doing like twice a week type of deal. I'm giving you the recipe here. This is the recipe.
I know. I'm listening.
Right.
I know.
This is the recipe. And I work the algorithm. So I'm like, you do got to post certain times, certain days.
And certain things. I've been learning that the hard way recently, like just titling my stuff certain things, using certain hashtags, understanding what's trending now.
And different apps. They are like they're so different. You cannot post Instagram things on TikTok. It will not go viral. You cannot post TikTok dances on Instagram. They're not going to go viral. You have to be perfect on Instagram. That's just, why did y'all make it like that? I don't know. Y'all did this. Like we can't blame anyone but ourselves.
We come for different things on these different platforms. So
Instagram's bougie.
It is.
TikTok is sloppy. You put the phone up and you're eating and you're drooling and they're like, ooh, ASMR. Ooh.
I learned that recently in podcasting. Now we test clips on TikTok before we put them on Instagram.
And look into the analytics.
And only the best stuff goes on Instagram. And then YouTube, you can just throw anything if it's a short on there. But I'm glad you said that. Let's talk about something that we mentioned earlier, content becoming people's lives. I think it's interesting that you're really taking the space serious. So like you said, it's going to become literally a piece of your personality. I have my take on it. I'll be honest. I'm not the most positive about content becoming people's lives.
A lot of people
just because it's not the content that's the problem. It's when you start shifting yourself because of the content.
Right.
I notice people literally start to adopt a personality.
Yeah.
Out that comes from what their followers think they are, with their friends and people that are watching them. And for me, I try to disconnect that. I'm like, this is who I am in real life. I got to be the same way when the camera turns on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But for you, what are you sort of seeing in the space? What do you like, love? What have you noticed in yourself? Mm-hmm.
I've noticed in myself that I wasn't being as authentic as maybe I wanted to admit before. So I would describe myself as a person that doesn't filter what comes out of their mouth. They like
Same.
I really do say the thing that no one's gonna say. Like they're like, oh my God, did she just say this? Yeah, I just said it. Like, you know? Yeah. So online I'm like, I can't say that. I'm gonna be canceled. Like, and it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. It's your people. I feel like that's the part of like the identity that gets out of the way. Like you can kind of filter yourself so much to where you seem like a whole different personality. And then people think that they know you and they really don't. Like online versus in person, two different people. So there's both sides to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I do feel like content is becoming people's lives. We record everything
these days. Yeah.
I mean, we do. We record everything.
It can be unhealthy. I feel like that's why we see so much mental health struggle. Because I was going to ask you, how do you deal with negative comments? Because like for the first time, we're having some clips on the podcasting room that are actually taking some traction, but not everyone agrees with the topic.
Yeah.
So people come in, they'll say something crazy. And I like at first, like a few years ago, if someone commented something negative, I used to tweak out. I used to be like, bro, like I used to I'll go bar for bar. But now I'm kind of like, all right, this is what comes with it. You have to take. And so how do you handle negative criticism? Have you seen any? Have you gotten it? Yeah. What do you do with that?
Negative. So honestly, if it's something that I don't want too much on my page, because there has been times, like I said, there's been a lot of viral posts that I've had. So deleting comments are not efficient. You have to work efficiently. Yeah. Sometimes there's settings where I do filter words. Like you're straight up not even gonna say a word like that, or a word that rhymes with it, or a censored word. You know how they try to put a little censored word? You're straight up not gonna comment that on my post. I'm not gonna let you. It's about boundaries. Like there's certain stuff I don't want to see. But also negative comments, negative engagement is still engagement. You're still getting me money.
That's
so
true.
I don't care. The thing is like if you have something negative to say about what I said, I'm perfectly okay with that. I feel like every single person's entitled to their opinion. And also some people are like bored, lonely, and have no life, and they're just trolls. Like you gotta actually appreciate the trolls. They do make you money.
Right.
So
I'll never understand though. I don't comment anything negative.
Oh, I do.
Under people's stuff. Oh, you do?
I do.
Really? Yeah. So where did that come from for you? Because I don't even have the energy. Like when I see something, I'm just like, wow. But then I don't comment. 'Cause, you know what I'm saying? But
I feel like if it's something that I would have said in real life, I'm gonna say it on someone's comment, even if it's like a viral ass post. I'm still gonna do it.
Right.
Like I'm that person. If I'm scrolling and I see something, like I saw someone talking about like having kids with like some crazy disorder that they have, and I'm like, you literally shouldn't be having kids and passing that on.
Oh, you commented that?
Yes.
Oh wow. See, I would say that out loud, but I wouldn't comment it.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like sometimes people need to hear it, and I am a firm believer of we need to bring back shame.
Yeah.
This society has no shame.
We have lost shame.
No.
But see, I'm like that in person. You know what I'm saying? I'm like that in person where I'm like, gang, what are you doing?
I don't get why there's so much online versus in person. It's all one life. So I'm like, it doesn't matter.
It is. But people are afraid of cancel culture. Like we were joking about it earlier, but it's a real thing.
You can undo it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, today's
honestly, just give it 30 days,
a month, 1 month, and you're back,
and people will literally forget. Yeah. So it's like, as much as I worry about being canceled or anything of that sort. I'm like, look, don't be too crazy with it, but make sure your delivery is good, but say how you feel. Like I said, being authentic is what truly captivates the audience. I know I appreciate it. I don't want to listen to a podcast that's not talking about nothing. Like, you know, and they're not really being real. I feel like we can touch topics and talk about crazy stuff and still be polite about it.
True. And it shouldn't be, you know, life altering if it happens on the internet.
That's what I'm saying.
And so I want to follow that up with something interesting that you typed here. You said the reality of going viral. What they don't tell you about attention, visibility, anxiety, always being perceived.
Oh my
right?
gosh. Yes.
And so I want to hear from you because I've gone semi-viral. And honestly, I wouldn't even consider it. My viral is like one of your things had, I think, 17K. I think Keys had something that was 15K. But you've probably seen like 100K views plus, right? So what does that viral feel like?
My most viral video is like 9-point-something million.
9 million people. How did that make you feel? Because my little viral, I'm like, oh my God. Like my phone is blowing. I'm getting likes. I'm like, yo, I'm calling P. I'm like, P, we about to make it out the hood. It's over.
Oh
He's like, yeah, facts. But 9 million, 9 million, what does that even look like? Does your phone even work?
Okay, I cut off my notifications when things go viral.
Oh, okay.
So like I'll actually go in my settings and cut off my notice.
Yeah.
I don't on my phone. I don't care that much. Right. And also I kind of am on my phone like a little too much. Yeah. So I try to decrease it. And I feel like if it's right in my face, I might keep looking at it.
Right. So, if you keep seeing it pop up on your screen.
Like I'm more of the type when I think of it, I'll come back to it and look at it.
So when 9 million people see something that you made, how do you feel about it in the sense of like 9 million eyeballs just, you know, all saw me? Like, do you feel nervous about that at all? Or are you just like,
a little, but it kind of gets me excited because I'm like, I'm pushing out my, like me, my face, my content, my brand. Like people are, it usually brings a whole wave of new followers. And sometimes they have this expectation, like when you go viral, they're like, oh, she's going to make more stuff like that. And I'm like, because I used to go viral without being intentional. So, but the reality of going viral, like, it's a difference between the apps. TikTok, the reach is worldwide. Instagram too, but I feel like the algorithm works a little bit different and it does TikTok, push it.
It'll get to foreign places.
That's what I'm saying. But Instagram, especially how I'm working it right now, is more local. So I'll go viral locally, which is exactly the intent that I'm putting on my videos. So I'll have people approach me by my Instagram name.
Oh,
like,
really?
They'll be like, oh, you're List Bad News.
Yeah, it's bad news, right?
Yeah, List Bad News, which bad news is where I'm from, Newport News. Shout out 757 Virginia. But yeah, they'll be like, oh, you're List Bad News. I am so sorry. I got to say, I cringe every time somebody tells me that. I am not List Bad News.
Really?
I'm just plain old Alyssa or Liz. Like, that's it. Like,
that's so
call me by my Instagram. Like, I'm never going to call you by your Instagram name.
Right. I actually like when people
Jeremy,
do that.
like,
I love when people call me Jeremy low-key.
Who is Jeremy?
Different conversation for a different day. But, okay, I'm gonna, and you're going to keep asking. I'm going to get to how you think about monetization in a second. But I do want to double back on the everything is content because you said it's a crisis. And I'll tell you, me and P, we have conversations on this, right? When I see people, for example, crying on their phone, I'm always just like, bro, there's no way that's even possible. You had to start crying. Take the phone, do this.
No. If you prop your phone up and are crying, nothing is wrong with you. You are not sad. You're not sad enough. You're actually not sad enough. You're not sad enough.
You still got
Why are you a pick me? Why are you a pick me? You know what? I'm guilty. One time, I didn't take a video, but I took a picture of me crying.
Okay.
And it's because my mom beat my ass.
Okay. So you kept it in the fam, though.
Yeah.
I understand that.
It was really because I was really acting up. I was being a brat. You know, and I got into an argument and I was crying. I took a little picture because my lashes look cute.
Okay. And then your mom beat you up.
But I feel like unintentionally, especially women, when you take a picture, do you think you look cute? It might be because you think you look cute. Maybe your blush look good or something. I don't know.
With the crying though?
Maybe. Or I feel like they want someone to be like, are you okay?
Yeah. So
Are you good? I'm gonna pray for you.
And I think it falls into this category of sympathy content or empathy. I don't know whether it be sympathy or empathy. Yeah, I'm. It's not even that I'm mad that people want empathy or sympathy, but I'm just like, my first instinct, if I'm having a bad day, is not to tell everybody in the world that I'm having a bad day. And I wouldn't even want that to go viral too. Some people go viral like crying into a camera, and I'm like, dude, that's.
You know what? I feel like
that looks messed up.
There's only really one time where I will let that slide. Okay. And that is when a hairstylist or a barber fucks up your hair and you put that phone up and you're like, yo, what the fuck? And you're having a mental breakdown. I feel like crashing out is valid. Okay. But like genuinely sad? Right. That's but crashing out, like putting the phone up and venting, almost like you're on a FaceTime call, that's like amusing.
Yes.
It's like, oh damn, like you crashed it out.
Yeah, and I'll let it slide if you're on Instagram Live, right? Because maybe you didn't start off crying, or if you're recording and then you start crying, then that's fine. But if you start off crying, that's when I'm like, yeah, you're doing too much. And so I feel like that's where content is becoming a crisis, in the sense of people. I feel like people share. We were talking about being vulnerable, but we're saying in the sense of like, hey, this is what I'm doing today. This is who I'm speaking to today. But like when people are recording like family discussions, like, Dad, why did you leave me as a kid? I'm like, bro, that doesn't need to be on tape. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Or in my opinion, at least.
I mean, that's what also attracts people, because they're like, whoa,
yeah,
like
it's so outlandish.
People don't record that, and people don't even touch these conversations. So the fact that you are, it's kind of like, damn, like what would my dad say? Like it gets your brain like kind of spinning. So I do get that point. Yeah. But no. I'm not with that either. Like some stuff needs to be secret. Private. I feel like there's a lot of stuff out in the open, but to be honest, that's where really successful content creators come from. But the percentage is really low.
Thank you. It's low.
It's not like for everyone. You got to be up there to be so transparent, and still we don't know everything about them. Like think about it. I got told the 5% rule. Yeah. You tell the world, or your content, your audience, you tell them 5% of what's really going on. Like give them a little crumb. Yeah. But the whole 100 is insane. And it reminds me of very early on, there were people in the YouTube space making family content. So you remember the YouTube family era? And that was when people were giving us 5, but it felt like 100. And then you would see divorces like out loud, and you're seeing, it was like reality TV. Even if you watch like Real Housewives of Atlanta, but that at that time, at least we knew they were acting. Yeah. Today, it's like people are really doing that, and for me, it's concerning. But we're trending to a world where everything is like, people are having kids. Babies posting the baby. I'm like, bro, you're posting the baby on, like they don't even agree to this. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I just think it's a weird space. Yeah, but I can't judge, because it's like, if the world is going that way, it just is what it is. Some of the morals are what confuse me. I feel like people get so caught up in wanting to get views or get followers, or like just have their 5 minutes of fame, because the whole thing is you have to keep the engagement and the followers. Correct. Not just go viral one time. What is that going to do? A cookie? You're going to get a cookie. That's it. Yeah. So that's my thing. I feel like some people record stuff that's so inappropriate. It's like, is that a good depiction of like who you are? Like, does that show who you are? So people record like crimes, people dying, or like a dead body. Remember like that whole scandal of like a dead body being posted on TikTok, and it like went viral. How they were like bodies washing up, like certain stuff where I'm like, you should actually call the police. Like, why are you going online? Or fires. Why are you recording a fire?
Really sad things. It gets weird. Yeah. And so on a lighter topic, you talked about monetizing your personality, the pressure that comes with it. I think it's interesting, because now that you're starting to take it serious, you do have to think about, okay, this is how much money I'm going to put into it, right? So like, let's just say you go to an event and you're like, I'm going to spend this much at this event. I'm going to get this much content. This is how much I think my return's going to be, right? How has that changed the way you perceive content? Because like for me, the only time I ever made content that made money was when I ran my school's podcast, and they paid me like hourly. So it was like a job. That's nice. So it changed my view on like what it means to be professional, show up on time, set it up, get things edited in a timely manner. But as long as I've made content for myself, there hasn't been much pressure for money because I'm just like, I'm freelance. I'm still trying to figure out the lane. But for you, I feel like it changes something.
It does. It does. So for the record, I'm freelance as well. Yeah. But in terms of monetizing, I've realized you do have to pour into yourself. So there's a lot of gigs I used to take on that were completely free or collabing. You have to get your page up and running. Like we said, you got to get 100 podcasts to become a podcaster. Yeah. So you got to get 100 videos to become a content creator. And also you have to collab restaurants, businesses, a drink, a matcha, a candy bar, an ice cream, anything. You need to go to a local place that maybe you would like to continue working for and post it. Like sometimes you have to do free work in order to be seen as, oh, this girl's serious. So I feel like you have to pour into yourself to start receiving that money back. So something I've noticed is sometimes there's a lot of countless hours editing, recording, going to places, modeling, any of that don't pay. It's honestly just for the videos and content in return. And you have to kind of prioritize, like with me with modeling, if I personally don't like your work, I'm not gonna sit there and be your model. I may not tell you that, but that may be the reason why we haven't worked, because maybe I'm like, I'm gonna give you a couple more years, like you need to polish a little bit more. So it's like little things like that. Like you have to build your brand to become more appeasing to a business, because when they do pay for you, it's gonna pay. I've had some really big deals pay a lot of money, like per video, a lot of money. So that's what I'm saying. Just know that when things get good, it gets really good. Like you can make it full time for sure. So you just have to weigh your like analysis on, am I gonna do this free work and pour into myself so it'll pay off later? Like it's a long term sort of goal. That's
interesting that you say that, because like you said, being selective, I think that even starts in the early days too, because like you said, you're setting yourself up for the precedent that people will sort of judge you on.
Exactly.
Even for me, the guests that I've had, me and you were talking, I'm so big, I tell people, guys, if I send you a list, we got to fill it up with topics. Because I've done podcasts where we didn't really do that.
Do a list.
And then we show up and it's just like, all right, bro. All right. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, we don't have much to talk about. And so like a lot of my friends, I've tell them we can't do it because you're going to waste my time. I'm going to have to edit it. You know what I mean? So
or a lot of filler words, It's good to have an agenda. Hello at work. Like you got to have an agenda. You got to go over certain things. And I even go that way with content. Like mentally, I'm like, I'm talking about this, like just sub headers, sub captions, like sub things you got to keep a track of.
Oh my gosh. It's crazy just talking about this as a whole as we wrap up the content portion of this, just because like content really has the power to change people's lives. I've heard how much money certain creators make in a month or in a week or in a year, and it's like you do that over X amount of years, you really don't have to work again. But at the same time, it's a demanding space that requires you to be outside and be vulnerable, and it takes a certain type of person, I feel like, to be okay with that.
I will say that, and to butt in, you also have to realize that content, it may not be a forever thing. Like you have to be okay with it being something that elevates you for the next 3 to 5 years. Like
before you do something else.
That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like some people don't have a game plan. What are you gonna do if social media falls off? What if the president actually puts a ban on the app? Or on Instagram or on whatever? What are you gonna do? Like the people were scrambling when it got banned.
TikTok was
and people were actually unemployed. Like what do you do? So you have to have a game plan. That's why I'm like, you can't give up your 9 to 5 low key. Like as much as you might want to put your time into it, you got to think of sustainability wise,
stable checks over time.
Like, or don't skip school. Like all the people growing up, don't skip school to just be a content creator. Like don't do that. If school's not for you, so be it. But I still don't think like people should short themselves and just be like, oh, I want to be a content creator. Everyone's a content creator. The market is truly oversaturated. You have to stand out and have a different niche. That's just the key.
That's something I learned very early on. and I wish I was more consistent early on because of it. I learned that when you do one piece of content, there's a translation into the other. So podcasting gives you the ability to make a ton of short form clips, right? But then at the same time, if you're a good podcaster, you can be a radio host. So I did that in college. Or you can be in production. I did that in college. Right. So very early on, I realized, okay, Kevin, most podcasters, maybe podcasting is the second or third thing they do. But podcasting was really just a way for speakers to stay sharp over time and stay relevant. Yeah. Because if your goal is to be on CNN or to be on Fox, they might hire you for 3 years, they might fire you. Right. You might have a 9-to-5 job. Right. You might start a family, and podcast is just a way you can stay sharp in this game that is content. And so I feel like you said, building that game plan about, okay, what do I see the next 1 to 2 years looking like in this space? If I get to this level, how long do I get to do that?
Exactly.
Right? Because now you're in Charlotte, right? One day you're going to have done content at all the places in Charlotte. So now you'll need to fly to Houston or Cali to do more. And then maybe you've done all the major cities. So now you got to go to Greece. Yeah. And so you have to keep expounding on that. And then maybe a news network hires you. But that doesn't mean you should stop your personal thing. Because if you stop and then they fire you, it's like you got to go back. Yeah. And are you still sharp at doing that? And that game plan, people don't talk about it enough. Because, like you said, you probably should stay in school. You probably should keep your job until it can,
Yeah, and I feel like it's so, with social media, it's so easy to look up at the people that are so viral, that have all these followers. You're like, oh my God, they've made a whole career. They're rich. Yeah. But also, what are you going to do if you still got to pay on that X $1 million house and the content creator you didn't get paid. You didn't make no money.
And people don't realize a lot of content creators are kind of living check to check, because once you buy that house and that car, it needs the payments. So you gotta still bring in. It's not a done deal.
Hello, and then
it's crazy.
There's jewelry. People go out.
Your accessories. You gotta look the brand. Club, you have to look away.
You gotta look the part. People wear designer head to toe. Stuff adds up. Like, hello. It does. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why.
It's crazy.
It's not talked about. It's really not. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. I would like to say that it is not. And I know a lot of people that are paycheck to paycheck that may not look like it, or aren't even monetizing, that you would have thought that are.
Yeah, that's
some
true.
viral videos, like my 9 million view video on TikTok. Guess how much money it made me? I'll have a moment of transparency. Guess how much it made me?
I would say, if I'm going off that 1% rule they use, what is 1% of that? 9,000? Oh, did I guess it right? Oh no. What? Higher,
I made
lower?
$10.
What? You made $10 off 9 million views?
Yep.
This is TikTok?
Yep.
Fam, $10?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that would have took me out the game right there. I would have been like, I'm done.
There's a lot of things to consider. If you're using an audio that there's a lot of rights. If you're using an audio of someone that is maybe not you, maybe it's not your voiceover, maybe it's for me it was Lil Baby. Yeah. I used one of his songs. So he got the majority of that.
I'm sure he did. UMG did.
He got my check. Yes, Lil Baby. Let me get that money. Right. He got I advertised him. So it's little things like that. It's like, well, technically now that's yours. Yeah. And also, you get paid per views, but there's a limitation on the view.
To it,
exactly. It's like, how long did someone watch your video? Was it longer than 3 seconds? Yeah. What did they do after? Were they reading the comments? Like, they actually look at the clicks. Wow, like, there's a lot of analytics into it, and that determines how you get monetized via TikTok. Because TikTok, I've studied for a while.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
But $10. Yeah. So do not. That's what I'm saying.
Don't quit your job.
Some of these content creators don't be like, oh my God, I want to be like that when I grow up. Yeah. You gotta have a game plan.
100%. Okay. Well, I'm glad we talked about this. This was you really gave a master class on content creation. I feel like from start
I'm gonna start. I need to start having classes and having Zoom classes and make people join.
I'm saying. So as you ascend, I feel like you should even have more of these conversations as you learn new things and stuff like that. Because even for me, I'm gonna watch this back and sort of, internalize some of it. But on a different note, we have a bunch of topics about. I'ma keep getting young and dumb. Hop out, make it sound like thunder. Shit back in with this bitch to a stomach.